about challenges to educational publishers and ed tech companies that are creating AI-enabled products?
Yeah, well, similar to teachers, the biggest one probably is thinking about what kind of actual regulations are going to be passed by the government to prohibit collection of certain data and under certain circumstances. And the tricky part with education use of data is that in order to customize and personalize and make the AI effective, it does need some data about students or a group of students to be able to make it work well. So I think what's going to happen is that the regulations are going to say AI can only be used for learning purposes. It can't be sold. So I think it's just going to be very carefully regulated about what can and cannot be done. So that's the first challenge, is to kind of see how regulations evolve. Also, they want to make sure, because teachers are already so stressed out, they're burdened with a lot of things. They've had COVID, they've had burnout, they've had mental health issues for the students now. They've had now the latest things about politics entering the classroom in terms of what books are okay. So the teachers are pretty stressed out for a lot of reasons. So publishers need to make sure when they design this, it's not just one more thing that teachers have to figure out on their own and deal with. So they've got to work to be an ally. How do we be an ally to teachers, make their lives easier, not harder? And there are some major publishers. One is Pearson, the other is Cengage, that are trying to be actually thought leaders in here, writing blogs, doing webinars, doing sessions to help teachers understand it. Some of this is a little bit more in the higher ed, where this is happening in addition to K to 12, but this is also important that for publishers to do as well.
Makes sense. And how are educational experts looking at this technology in terms of its teaching value and potential?
Yeah, I'd say they're taking kind of a wait and see attitude, a little skeptical, but still open at the same time. And so I think that the jury is out, as they say. It was just early January of 24, just last week, that the New York Times did a major article called "Will Chatbots Teach Your Children?" And it was looking at the history of the introduction of technology to the classroom and how lots of times these great promises were made about how this is going to improve learning, and they didn't always come through. So, we're at very early stages still. So there is definitely some deserved skepticism about how this is going to work, especially if technology is being used as a solution to things that are very deeply embedded, things like learning loss because of COVID, poverty that causes students to have troubles learning, mental health issues, absenteeism, teacher burnout. All these things are social problems and deep problems that are not necessarily amenable to a quick technological fix. But the point is, can this help even in a narrower way to improve learning? So it's kind of a we'll see.
Yeah. And what new trends are likely to emerge in 2024 and 2025?
Well, I'd say the key word is more. So I think we're going to see more usage in schools. We're going to see more powerful AI systems. Whatever they're doing now, they're going to do it more powerfully. We're going to see more modes in the AI. In other words, not just text and a little bit of image, but audio, voice prompting. So a lot more ways to both command and interact with AI. So more of this. We're going to see more regulations. Europe started early on this, as they often do when it comes to privacy and data and protection of public issues. But the U.S., it's gotten so much prominence now, is now crafting regulations about it to make sure AI is transparent and so on and so forth. In the business standpoint, we're going to see more startups. There's a lot of activity in the startup world about smaller companies that have a new AI product they want to bring in. And we're going to see more products. So again, this makes it tricky for teachers. They need help sorting all this out. We're going to see a slew of AI-enabled products. Everybody's going to want to call their product AI-enabled too in some ways. And it's going to be confusing. What is, what type, and so forth. And finally, I think we're naturally, as we do with a lot of key issues, we're going to see more discussions of how this impacts equity in the classroom, whether it's for marginalized groups that have often not been given the same chance as others, or even globally? What does this mean globally for education? So more of all of this, and then there's a lot of unknown, a lot of things we just can't predict what's going to happen, except to say whatever we have now, we're going to have more of, I'd say.
Wow, sounds busy. There's a lot going on. And where can people go to get more information about this topic?
Well, we here at Simba are doing a lot on this. We cover the issue quite a bit in our biweekly newsletter, the Education Market Advisor. We try to keep up with trends and products and advice for publishers and teachers and so forth. So Education Market Advisor, and because we also issue research reports, we did one that came out last fall just on AI in the classroom. But I'd also say, in addition to our work, the organizations that are, I think, doing the best work here that I would recommend are the UN and UNESCO in particular is doing an awful lot. The U.S. Department of Education is putting out some excellent guidebooks for teachers, and the RAND Corporation is issuing some good reports as well. So there's a lot of people working on this, studying this, both ourselves as well as other interested parties.
Great. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, Sarah.